What's up, guys? It's George, and I want to talk about an important topic. I just had someone who left a message who wants to quit smoking weed, but lives with someone who also is a chronic pothead, but that they don't want to smoke weed. It's their boyfriend. And so what to do in this situation? And I see a lot of, from time to time we get people that post in our group about this. Sometimes they don't even smoke themselves, but their significant other smokes weed and they don't want to quit weed. Or sometimes even parents will come into the group and they'll ask about how to help their son or their daughter that smokes weed, but their son or daughter has no intention and wants to smoke weed. So what to do in this situation? She had asked, the one who had just left this comment asked if she should move out, what her options are. So I want to talk about this. So this is the thing. When it comes to something like quitting smoking weed, this is a very personal decision. You can't force someone else to want to quit smoking weed. And if you do, then a lot of times what'll happen is resentment will build up. Maybe they will do it for you, but resentment will build up inside. And in the end, it'll eat away at the relationship. And I speak from experience in one of my serious relationships in my life. I gave up smoking weed for my girlfriend. She didn't. We're not together now, but this was years ago. She did not. When she met me, I was smoking weed, and she didn't want to date someone that was a pothead, and was really hated the fact that I smoked weed, and so I stopped smoking weed for her. She didn't even want me hanging out with any of my friends who smoked weed, and but I loved her, so I gave up smoking weed for her. And time went on, but resentment started to build up. And it felt like something that I really missed. Like I was like, gosh, I wish you would just be cool with me smoking weed with my friends occasionally. Like, I wish I could just do it like occasionally on the side. What's such a big deal? Like, can't I just smoke weed on my own? Like, I'm not gonna let this bother our relationship. I don't understand. This is a big deal. And resentment, built up in the side. And eventually, we did end up breaking up. And so, when it comes to something like quitting smoking weed, that has to be a personal decision. They gotta want it inside. They gotta want it for themselves. And I know this may not be the answer that you want to hear. But you can't force someone else. All you can do is lead by example, and in being the best version of yourself, and love them in spite of their bad habits. Love them for who they are. Now, should you still be with this person? Should you move out? Well, this is where it comes down, and you gotta. This is a real personal decision and something you gotta decide in your life and what your standards are. My advice is that, love this person in spite of their bad habits. However, if they are unwilling to change and give up smoking weed, and this is something that bothers you and that you don't want a part of your life anymore, that if they're unwilling to give up this habit of smoking weed, then you may have to separate with love, and bless and release them, and maybe you can move apart and still date, and then and that way they can smoke weed at their house and they don't have to smoke weed around you. Or maybe it might be best just to end the relationship altogether. But I wouldn't. It's one of those things you want to love them. You gotta love people in spite of their bad habits. Nobody's gonna be perfect. And so maybe you can find it inside to still love this person and still be with them even though that they smoke weed. Nobody's perfect. We all have our bad habits, and maybe in the right time they will decide to give up smoking weed. Maybe they'll see how much you've transformed as a person since quitting it, how much happier you are. And maybe they will decide to quit smoking weed on their own time if they ever do, or maybe they won't. But if you're pretty sure that they will probably never quit smoking weed because they're do or die pot, I know some people are like that, then you may have to make that decision to to bless and release them. It's not that you hate them. You can just, but you have. It's okay to set standards for yourself in your life of what is acceptable. And you shouldn't lower your standards just to get other people to like you. Now, if you're a mother or a parent and you have a child that is smoking weed, Obviously it depends on the age of the kid, and but if they're a grown up, over 18 years old and they're smoking weed, then again, you can't really force the kid to smoke weed, quit smoking weed. But if you're enabling it, if they're living at home and you're paying for all the bills and things like that, then you are enabling it. So you may have to lay down the law and just say, hey, you know what, this is this is how my parents were, and it was, hey, if you want to smoke weed, that's great, but you're not living here. I still love you, but you're not going to live here and smoke weed. And so I know that's tough love, but it's not like you're kicking them out of your family and you're not going to love them anymore. But you got to have standards for yourself, that you don't want drugs in your house, you don't want people smoking weed in your house, and that's okay. Then they got to know they're not going to get a free rent and a free ride living at your house smoking weed. If they don't live with you, if they're outside of the house and they're grown up, there's not much you can do. My advice is just to love them in spite of who they are. You gotta that's one of the best ways to heal people, with love, unconditional love and support, be there for them, and hopefully in the right time that they will change. But it's an internal decision. It's one that they just gotta find somehow in life. They gotta find that answer inside, and it's best when someone else doesn't force this change upon them. Because then a lot of times they'll resent it, they'll miss it, and they'll end up going back to it in the end. So I know this might not be the answer that you wanted to hear, but it's just kind of the truth of life. But don't look at it as like a bad thing. You don't have to break up with your partner, your wife, your husband, your significant other just because they smoke weed. Like I said, ask yourself, can you still love this person? Are they still a good person? Are they still a good partner? Do they still love you even though they smoke weed? If they're still a good partner and everything like that, then then love them in spite of this, but if it's just too much, you can't, it really makes you uncomfortable and you don't like it, then, you may have to bless and release them, and move on with your life. So, hope this helps, guys. Until next time, have a great day, a great week, a great month, a great year. Let's make it a great life.